Alright, hello and welcome to the Game Fanatics podcast. My name is Ben, and today I'm joined by Breezy.
Potato cakes.
And Jeff.
Hello.
And today we're going to take kind of a look back at one of the most popular games in recent memory, I would say. Well, not recent. A couple generations ago now. Anyway, Resident Evil 4.
Well, Capcom's kept it in recent memory.
Yes, it just
It's
got...
10 years old, but it's had a release like every 2 years since
Pretty much. It's true. It's basically on every platform except for the original Xbox now. It's on like phones, who knows? But they just re-released it again, Super HD, whatever. And it's not even Super HD, but they re-did it again on PC. Didn't really add anything. I guess the most exciting new feature is it's in 60 frames per second, which isn't really a feature. It looks cool. I've been playing that a little. It's still Resident Evil 4. It's still amazing.
Yeah, an excuse to replay that game is always a good thing, I think.
Yes, exactly. It still holds up really well. Like, the controls are weird. But you have to keep in mind, like, it was the first game to really do a lot of things like that. Resident Evil 4 and God of War came out at about the same time, and both of them... Resident Evil 4 came out a couple months before God of War, but they both started the whole QuickTime event thing.
Yeah.
Which kind of spiraled out of control. But it can be traced back to those two games coming out right around the same time. And then there's also things like the camera angle and how shooting like over the shoulder works directly influences games like Gears of War. You know, Cliff Bleszinski has gone on record and said it was Resident Evil 4 that inspired Gears of War. So it's a highly influential game. It's also one of the best games of all time, probably in my top 5.
Yeah, for sure. Like, a lot of people complain about the game mechanics and how it feels really rigid, but that's them trying to preserve the feel of classic Resident Evil. In those games, you couldn't shoot and move either.
Yeah.
But in Resident Evil 4, you can actually see where you're shooting.
Perfect.
And it's part of the game design, and for me, it was never a problem. I've played that game 3 or 4 times, and never once have I said, I wish I could move and shoot. I'm done with this game because I can't run away while I blast guys with a shotgun.
It adds a lot. It adds a lot to it. And it really, like, you go and play Resident Evil 6, because you can move and shoot, it just makes it less interesting.
It's an action game.
Well, they're both kind of action games.
No, Resident Evil 6 is like more action than 4.
Yeah. But there's only like...
way too much cutscenes and QTEs.
There's only like... Well, play through Resident Evil 4 again and not skip any cutscenes, there's a ton of them.
Yeah, but they're meaningful in 4. 6 was just like, ugh.
No,
because like 6 was so cheesy. It was so much cheese in 6.
No, there's a lot of cheese in 4. There's a lot of cheese in 1. What are you talking about?
There's a bunch of cheese in 6, man.
This series is not realistic. It has never been that serious.
No, I'm not saying it needs to be a serious series. I just saying, like, because I never finished 2 and 3, but I finished 4, 5, and I finished 6, most of 6, with all the characters and stuff.
Yeah.
And 6 was just like, I felt like I was grinding my teeth down just trying to get through 6, because there's that half-ass cover system in there.
That you only really need to use for like a quarter of the game. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of problems with Resident Evil 6. We're not talking about Resident Evil 6. We're talking about when the game series was really good back at 4.
5 was okay.
5 was okay.
5 was okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because it was pretty much more Resident Evil 4 with a broken AI companion.
Yeah, that's the problem with 5, because 4 had the isolation of Resident Evil.
I didn't have that many problems with Sheva. Maybe because I got like the Game of the Year edition with all the DLC and shit. But I didn't really have too many problems with Sheva that a lot of people had. But when you do put it on the harder difficulties and she gets knocked the fuck out, it is annoying.
Yeah, I didn't really have any problems with her. It's fine. Like, that game's good, but it's not as good as 4, and I don't think we'll ever really get back to that point of a Resident Evil game that's as good as 4.
I think we could if, because he's right now, that guy who did 4 is working on...
The Evil Within?
Mikami?
Yeah, Mikami's working on... Yeah, he's working on the Evil Within. If Capcom was actually serious about going back to those days of Resident Evil, then they would hire him. again to do another Resident Evil. Because what he's making, like, what was it again? The Evil Within.
Yeah.
Because of that, like, if you look at the gameplay footage of the Evil Within, it looks just like old school Resident Evil, or 4. Can't go too far back because it's all 2D and
Not
shit.
too
But like,
far, yeah.
it looks just like Resident Evil 4. Like all the crazy shit that's happening. Like there's even a guy with like a chainsaw chasing you and like cutting the tendons in your leg, and you're crawling trying to get away and shit. And it's like, oh my god, the motherfucker's right there. So it's like it's still.
But that
Did you provide
box.
voiceover for the game?
No. Like all that shit is still in. It's like it's in there, and like I think what's happening is Capcom is really getting lazy, I would say, with who they're giving their IPs to and companies' track records, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, it is. We know how you feel about certain games. I think they could make a Resident Evil like 7. It shouldn't be 7. I think we need to stop numbering at a certain point, and now's the point. Like, completely reboot this as a new Resident Evil series. Make it play like 4, but more like Resident Evil 1 and 2.
The chances...
It's not gonna happen, but...
It's not gonna happen. I mean,
Never gonna happen.
it could happen if they got like some studio like Ninja Theory to do it, like what they did with Devil May Cry, but that... I don't know if Capcom would do that. They're just too... I think Capcom is really like focused on their bread and butter, which is Street Fighter. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
but
think they're actually paying attention to anything
What else do
other
they
than-
have besides Street Fighter and Resident Evil?
Well, they have...
Dead Rising?
Yeah, but Dead Rising
just
I
trying to
wouldn't
think of
consider their real bread and butter. I mean, Capcom acts more like a publisher nowadays. They don't really do too much of developing their own games unless it's Street Fighter, and then they make 50 copies of it and make their money back.
Yeah. Alpha, Turbo, Third Strike, whatever.
Alpha Turbo, Third Strike, Remix, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
And
Oddly enough, those
here's
are all
DLC
subtitles.
on the disc, so you can give us another $10. Yay, Capcom.
Yeah. I
To
mean,
Capcom's credit, they did put out Mega Man 9 and 10, which was a really cool callback to the NES games. But back to Resident Evil 4,
yes, thank you.
yeah, I'm trying to think of some of my favorite moments, and that game is full of them.
Oh my god. There,
I think-
did you ever... Okay, here's something. Did you ever shoot the lake, like the lake?
Yes,
And
you
the-
stood up
the guy
edge of
just
the
comes
pier
out-
and just shot it.
Just
Yeah.
chomp.
I was playing that with a friend, and I'm just like, hey, let's go to the pier and just unload our machine gun into the water to see what happens. Like, we were going to try and shoot some fish, I think,
Oh yeah.
for
yeah.
help. And and then this giant thing comes and eats us. It's like,
Just like, oh.
I did that because I didn't know where the fuck I was supposed to go or do. So I just started unloading ammo just like that, and the damn thing ate me. And I'm like, okay, well, clearly I need to kill that.
I need to go
So-
that way.
Yeah, like that. I think that is my favorite part. And then like eventually when you're able to put Ashley in like the suit of armor is also, well, it's not really a favorite part, it's a favorite thing, but I like putting her in the suit of armor because then it's like I can really focus on other people without having her get carried away
The
all the
ultimate
damn
costume, yeah.
time. Yeah.
oh, that was the Chicago typewriter, and you had like the
Oh,
pinstripe
yeah.
suit, and if you
Yeah,
put them
with the
together and
gangster
hit a,
outfit.
yeah, if you put them together and you hit a button, he tipped his hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many
This is
cool
like-
things.
Yeah, like it's a great. I think that is what I would call the epitome of good game design, to where you have so many memorable moments, and sure it has its hiccups, but they're not annoying. It's almost like they were planned to be that way.
Yeah.
Like when you want to turn around and he turns and it's not as fast as a turn as you would like, but he still does it. Or like if enemies get behind him, his head will look behind him and other stuff like that. So like it's like the nuances are what really make that game such a great game. And people just don't. I feel like most people who get in these positions to make games don't pay attention to those
Yeah.
type of things.
Well, this game was in development for a super long time, and it had been scrapped completely 2 or 3 times.
Turned into Devil May Cry
Yeah,
at
one
point.
of them became Devil May Cry.
Well, DMC
Started out as Resident Evil 4.
It's not. It's. Well, which DMC was it? 3?
1. DMC 1. That's how long this game took.
Wow.
All DMC went to 1, 2, and 3 before it came out, and it started off as itself. Like, it's mind-boggling.
Well, 2 was shit, but 1 and 3 were great, so that's okay.
Yeah, I didn't play 2.
2 was
Because
bad.
I was told not to by you.
2 was bad. 1 and 3 and 4.
4's good. Yeah.
4 is good.
Yeah, Resident Evil 4. There was like that bearded guy who turns into like a caterpillar thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
That was so good. The merchant. Everyone remembers the merchant.
The merchant.
Because, like, this weird.
What are you
cockney-
buying?
What are you selling, stranger? I love it.
Thank you.
Come back.
I was
anytime.
so happy to get through a level and see him with his like blue lights lit up like a disco, and he's
Yeah.
sitting there like, "Hey, you're here."
There's so few things I'd want to change about the
I
game
tried-
too.
Wait. Quick question: did you try shooting him when you first saw him?
No, because the first time you
I-
see him, he like has a whole cutscene introduction.
Yeah,
Well, what happened is me and my sister were playing it together, so I was like sleep or whatever. She got to that point or whatever, and I didn't know that guy. So when I saw him, I immediately was like, "Okay,
Enemy.
pistol." And she's like, "What are you doing? You're wasting ammo. He's a good guy. He sells you shit." And I'm like, "Oh."
He's dead now.
Meanwhile, 2 clips later,
I know. He's dead. Like, stop shooting him. Yeah, you can kill all of them. I don't think you really get anything, but you could shoot them all day.
Breezy, for your sake, I want to see if there's a mod out there that turns all the enemies into merchants.
there probably is.
That's the most interesting thing about this PC release is if they let like mods start to happen,
Yeah.
which they probably
Wasn't-
won't, but
Yeah, I think there was already a PC release.
there was, but it was terrible.
Yeah.
And it didn't have
Yeah.
gamepad support like natively. It was, and the keyboard controls were broken. It was essentially not worth anyone's time until mods happened like years later.
Yeah.
So the HD textures is just their excuse to do it right.
I guess so. I mean, it looks nice. I'm a sucker, so it's easy to
It's a
sell me
cash
Resident
grab.
Evil 4. It's super
Yeah.
easy. Beyond easy. I'd buy it for a system I don't even own. It's almost that easy. I'm trying to think of other. It's just like every single area, every single room. It's like, oh, remember that room? Remember that
Yeah.
room? And it's like every single room in the entire game has something interesting about it. Like the first time you cut open a box and there's a snake in it.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a bitch.
When you learn you can throw eggs at guys.
Yes.
You can throw eggs at people?
Yes.
Yes.
I never knew.
I know.
If you throw eggs at enemies, they stumble.
Or is that only in 5?
I did not know that.
Or is that can you do that in 4 or is that only in 5?
No, I'm pretty sure it was in 4.
I never tried it
I'm
in
not
4
sure. I
or
think you can do
5.
it in 5
I didn't try it in 5.
because there's like a trophy.
Really?
That's
Oh,
why I
I
did
gotta
it.
go back and put 5 back in and start throwing eggs at people.
It was like throw 10 eggs or something stupid. You know, trophies are dumb.
Yeah, I was an idiot and got rid of Resident Evil 4 and 5, so I'm gonna have to buy it again on Wii probably. But I've played this game so many times, and I just adore it.
Yeah.
There's the first village, that
Yes.
super hard battle. I
mean, the first time-
scraping by every time.
The first time I got to the chainsaw guy, and it's horrifying, and then
Oh,
your
yes.
head gets chopped off, and I was like mouth agape, horrified, like holy shit, what
Right.
did I just what?
When I got to that scene, I implemented the Dory method from Nemo, which was just keep moving. I didn't shoot anybody. I just ran for the better part.
Yeah,
of
you
that.
can't. You just have to run around for like 10 minutes, and I think it stops.
Yeah,
5 minutes,
yeah.
something like that.
I just ran.
It's a really
ran,
good risk
ran.
reward idea too. Like I think he only spawns if you go for the shotgun in the top roof of a house, right?
I think,
No, he always
spawns
spawns
if you
me.
kill a
Really?
certain amount of guys.
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah. There's actually
always-
2. If you go towards that door, another one will be there.
Hmm.
So don't.
For me, I've never seen him unless I go into the house.
I'm not
'Cause,
100%
when
sure.
you go in, like that cutscene triggers, Leon pushes the dresser in front of the door,
Yeah.
and then you start hearing chainsaw noises.
I'm pretty.
God, that is such a horrifying noise.
And then they have like the women chainsaw women who are like even more
Ah,
crazy
yeah.
looking.
I never went that path. I always took the other side.
Oh really? I
because
always took that path because I didn't like fighting El Gigante too many times. It just
That-
took too long. What about the guys with the claws?
Oh yeah, I was just thinking of those. Like they have like the crazy big Wolverine claws, and
They're
like their eyes
blind,
are,
so you have to walk
Yes.
really slow.
and they have the parasite. on
Oh
their
God!
back.
Yeah, if you
Yes.
make too much noise, they come and get you. Oh fuck those
Those
guys!
guys like slice you in half. It's freaking ridiculous.
Fuck those guys, and then they make that weird breathing sound and that shaking, and no.
Oh, how about the guys at the end, the Iron Maiden guys who like
Mhm.
stretchy arms and pull you into their spikes?
Oh God!
Yeah, that like.
Fuck you, man. Like, no. I'm not giving you a hug.
Oh my god. Okay, so there's some horror moments in this game, and it is the end with those
Yeah.
guys.
Oh, man.
Haunting shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is the perfect game. I think that's what we've determined today.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 is
yeah.
perfect.
Like RE4, just like the entire game has like this grungy look going on. Like everything looks dirty and just uncomfortable.
Dilapidated.
Yes,
Well, yeah, 'cause
but it's so much
they're-
fun to play.
Because they're in Spain. Haha.
I mean, if you're gonna make a horror game that's gonna be what is the camera in there? Third person or
person,
second
yeah.
person?
There is no such thing as a second person.
Yes, there is, because you get like that over the shoulder camera that's really close up and
That's
has like
still
no
third.
fucking. Okay, I'll have to show you an image what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Anyway, I think if you're gonna make a shut up.
Third person camera.
I think if you're gonna make a third-person horror game with shooting and other stuff, you should really look at how Resident Evil 4 did those things and
Mhm.
try to say to yourself, okay, if I were to make a game like this, let's start it with the basis and then see where it would be in like 5 years in terms of mechanics.
Well,
and
that'd be
shit. Like,
Dead
that's
Space.
the best way to.
That'd be Dead Space.
No, it would not be Dead Space.
But well, it'd be Dead Space, but like that's an alternate way where it goes less horror. I guess you
Yeah,
could
I
say.
think Dead Space is more suspense, and Resident Evil is like, no, you are gonna get killed by some crazy fucking creature monster thing.
Yes.
Like, and when I play, like, Dead Space freaks me out too. But the thing with Dead Space is it's more like, okay, here's this new room. We're gonna throw a bunch of shit at you.
Yeah.
Here's another room. We're gonna throw one
Or
at
kill
you
rooms
now.
or whatever.
Yeah.
The problem, or what's so great about Resident Evil 4 is that it still has all that suspense and kind of horror elements from that, and it's bright. Like Dead Space
And
is
it's-
so fucking dark, but Resident Evil 4 is bright, and you can just be horrified.
And another thing is you couldn't, when you first played through the game, you didn't have a way to predict whether or not it was going to be one of those situations where a bunch of enemies were going to come at you. In Dead Space,
It's everywhere.
there's fucking vents everywhere.
Yeah, it's basically
It's a
everywhere.
given. Yeah, it's a given at that point.
The only
So-
the only thing that could make Resident Evil 4 better is like a weapon switching.
Yeah, like in 5 where you can just hit the D-pad
Yeah.
and switch your weapons like that. Yeah.
That's what's great about
I
the
think-
PC version is the pause button doesn't take like 7 seconds to pause.
I like that. Like, the guy is still coming, and then it's like, oh my god, pause.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, the attaché case is like just rearranging your
I love
stuff,
that.
and like whenever
I-
you buy a bigger one, you have like the biggest sigh of relief
yeah.
because you're always just like trying as like you're playing a Tetris game, right? Of trying to get your stuff
It's a
aligned.
love
game
that.
within the game, so you can game
Yeah.
while you game.
Yo, dog.
Yo, dog.
It's worth, but it's great because it's like, all right, here's this next chapter. Now I gotta fucking like Tetris to shit, like you just said, to have enough ammunition, enough health, enough healing items, enough ammo, a better gun. If I don't, if I know if I'm going in here, I need a shotgun. Because you got those guys who are like, I'm not going anywhere unless I got a assault rifle and a shotgun, and it's like, fuck, I can't fit them both in here.
Yeah. Oh
So like a decision has to be made.
Except
Do I
for your
leave this
voices.
gun behind? Yeah, but like that's it's true though.
no! I
And that's
never,
something that's gone.
I never
for most-
used that submachine gun.
I did.
I never use it. I never have, unless it's in the mercenaries mode. I've never used it.
always use submachine guns.
I see. I'll mark that
Because
down.
the thing is with the submachine guns, they typically hold more ammo than the pistols. And if you want to attack like a pistol, just tap the trigger. And if shit gets out of hand, just hold it. They're not
That's
weak. I mean,
another amazing thing about the game is the upgrading of the weapons.
Yes, that's so much fun.
This is the best game.
submachine guns are.
It's not a bad weapon. I'm just
No, I'm saying in terms of power, I think they're around as powerful as like your. Not like the hand cannons, like the Desert Eagles and shit, but they're like as powerful as your standard pistols once you fully
once you
upgrade.
fully upgrade them,
Yeah,
they're roughly this.
about the same, I'd say.
About the same, less, but obviously they fire more bullets, so it's a trade-off.
Yeah, if shit gets out of hand, I can just lay waste to everything. You get a bullet, you get a bullet, you get a bullet.
Yeah, that best game of all time. I think we can just crown it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Best game ever.
In terms of
like they-
survival,
Yeah, and when they invented those new mechanics for over-the-shoulder aiming, they ran with it. You can shoot a guy's knees out and drop him. You can shoot him in the shoulder and he'll
Yes.
take a few steps back.
Yeah.
shoot him in the head, he
He
it's
recoils, holds his head. Yeah.
Yes,
Wait.
or his head just explodes in the most satisfying way. Until like second chapter in the game, where
Yeah.
you realize, oh no, what have I done? He's this blade's gonna grow out of his head now.
Or
like if the guy's holding a stick of dynamite, you can shoot the dynamite.
Yes.
Or like if you need to, like, okay, say it's an emergency situation, you need to conserve ammo. You can shoot them in the knees and then run up behind them and like karate kick them. And
Yeah, or just use
suplex
the
'em
knife
and
on
stuff.
them.
Yeah, so it's like they really took that and ran with it, and I haven't seen any games really do that anymore. Other than like 5 and 6, when 6 just goes all MMA on shit.
Yeah. Well, even like Dead Space, which is probably the closest example of another studio trying to do Resident Evil 4, they don't really do it. They do their own thing in a lot of respects.
Yeah, I mean, like, cause like
It's not as good. No.
there's a fucking video of someone like stomping their way through all the levels in Dead Space. And
Yeah, that's the most
funny
annoying
ass,
thing
like,
in the world.
some funny ass music playing or some shit. Yeah, like shit like that. I'm like, come on, you gotta do more. Like, the executions in Dead Space are awesome after Isaac gets attacked. It's like then he decides to be a badass. But until that point, he's just stomping on cockroaches, like stomp.
And he breathes weird too the whole time.
He's like, oh.
It's like, what the? How did you make that noise?
What did they get the dude to do who voice acted Isaac in the first game to make those
There's
noises?
got to be
man?
like post effects where they just like gave him an oxygen like mask.
They like just ran into the room and held his nose and mouth and waited for him to gasp for air.
It's like interrogation sounds of like someone.
Yeah, it is. It's like he's being waterboarded for these sound effects.
So we just went there in this podcast.
Yeah, I think we got to end it there. Before we
on a waterboard joke.
Before we terrorize anyone else. Yeah, so leave your comments below about how you agree with us in Resident Evil 4 is the best game ever.
Survival horror. That is.
Okay, or one of the best games ever.
And we didn't even touch on the mercenaries or the extra Ada missions that they put in the later releases. The knife fight with Krauser.
It's so much.
The train car ride.
Every single boss fight.
I just adore
the
this
cemetery
game.
or the hedge maze.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything about this game is great.
Mm-hmm. It was the like the little Napoleon guy. I think that's what everyone calls him because no one can remember his name.
What is his name? I just met him. I'm playing through. I just got to the castles. I don't remember his name. Who cares?
Yeah. And then there's like the monster that's always with him with the cloak and it's invisible. You have to freeze it.
Fighting him in the underground area.
Yeah.
Great fight. That perfect game. Perfect game. Change nothing. That's the problem with Resident Evil 5. They changed things.
They didn't really, I'll take that.
They did.
I'm not going to argue Resident Evil 5.
They did. Unfortunately, change things.
Yeah. Well, they changed the wrong things, you could say. But,
yeah.
Before we cut this off, there's a GIF out there of like chapter. It's the last chapter. I think it's chapter 5, and there's this metal shutter door, and you hit the switch, and as it's rising up, you can see the legs of a Regenerator or an Iron Maiden. You're not sure which because they look the same from the waist down.
Yeah.
It's like as soon as he sees the legs, he hits the lever and puts the shutter down.
Not going over there.
The word "nope" flashes.
Awesome.
Nope.
Amazing. I think we have to leave it there. Comment below, like the video, subscribe to the channel. You can also email us, podcast@thegamefanatics.com. I will read them. You can follow me on Twitter at TGF_KirbyLink. Jeff is on Twitter.
TGF_Jasmine.
And Breezy does not want you to follow him because of reasons.
I don't like the term being followed. It's creepy.
Okay. Goodbye. Go play Resident Evil 4 again.